everyone. This is Sharon with Entelechy Visions, and this is an energy update for the week of November 22nd through November 29th. So we are moving towards the last parts of this month, and we are entering the holiday season this week. And the holidays may feel really kind of odd this year, that this entire year has shifted a lot of our celebrations and has made it really strange to celebrate in the normal kind of way that we are used to. So as we approach this week, we may feel somewhat odd within that, but also nostalgic for what has been within our celebrations in the past. So it is a different kind of holiday. So just remind yourself to be very gentle around your emotions, because the holidays can normally bring up a lot of emotions for everyone as people have gathered, and also that missing of loved ones who are either far or who have passed on. And so that element of the emotional component to it is a little bit more heightened this year because of the constrictions that we are still under within the pandemic and all that has been occurring. You may find that you are a little bit more tender within your heart this year around the holidays, that you may be missing those that you long to be close to, or even those who have passed on, whether that is previous years or even this year. So to be very gentle with yourself, and to also remind yourself to reach out to people. If you are celebrating this holiday and you do not have many nearby for you, that do not be afraid to reach out for that connection and to really ask for that help, or just to chime in with someone to remember that you are connected and that we are not alone through this. So reminding yourself also of the gratitude. I know gratitude has been a theme throughout the entire Thanksgiving season, but it's a really nice, strong theme this year because it is reminding us of who has really stepped up in our life and who has shown up for you when the going got tough, or when it's continuing to be tough. If you are still presently moving through a lot, and I know we all still are, to really notice the people in your life who have stuck around for you, who have maybe reached out and asked whether you're okay, or really checking in periodically just to remind you that they care. This is a good season to honor those people in your life, even if it's just one person or a stranger, or something that has occurred for you out in the world that felt like an enormous gift throughout this entire year. The holiday season can be a good reminder to reflect on that blessing that you have received in the form of these different experiences and people. So celebrate the holidays in a healthy, aware, and safe way this year. That will be the best way to celebrate, but however you choose to celebrate it, I do wish that you have a beautiful holiday week this week. We do have the full moon lunar eclipse approaching on the 30th, and I will be speaking about that more in the next update. But just to give a little bit of summary about it, because we're already feeling the escalation and the seeping in of all of that presently. It is a Gemini partial lunar full moon eclipse, and lunar eclipses are always about culminations. They are about finalizing something, an ending of a cycle, and they are also the cosmic wild cards. They add elements of kind of expecting the unexpected, or maybe closing a door to open another door. And they don't always add this element to our lives, that they often hold different qualities depending on the type of eclipse or depending where it falls within our chart or how that's affecting us personally. However, this particular one is a bit of a grace type of lunar eclipse. So the intensity of it feels a bit more positive, and it's very expanding, asking us to grow, to mature, to level up. And I invite these themes as reflections as we approach this lunar eclipse of what is truly on its way out for you in your life. These are questions that you can visit at this time and really look at how this applies to your present experience. What is calling you to express? What is really emerging for you? Is there something that wants to be expressed or something that is nudging you to share in a new way? What has been neglected? Is there something that you have put on the back burner or something that you have wanted to tend to but you haven't had the time? Or is there something that's really kind of not only nudging you, but almost shouting at you to really look at and to tend to, almost like, if not now, then when? The pace is really going to quicken as we move towards December. And we will find that after the eclipse, the Mars direct that recently occurred last week, the warrior action planet that really brings back that momentum, that speed in our life, that brings back some of that clarity, it has been gaining that speed again. So it takes some time for it to kind of add that dose of fuel, of fire to our lives. But you may have even noticed it in the past week, that it's as though a veil has lifted a little bit and you can see a little bit more clearer, or things feel like they are moving forward a little bit better. It feels less stagnant. It feels less like you're standing still. So this adds a bit of hope because it feels good to have that fire in our step. It feels good to have that fuel towards all the many areas of our life. And this will only continue to increase as we move towards December. And it will finally pick up that speed, and it will really shape the entire themes as we move through this eclipse season, which has us moving through the second part of the eclipses in December, mid-December. So we are really truly being asked to step through a new doorway of opportunity, as we had mentioned last week in the update. And this is a primary theme that's going to be highlighting the entire eclipse season. Sagittarius season that we are moving through now will really help to shape the foundation toward that new opportunity. And Sagittarius will really allow us to see that hope, that new potential. The energy is going to get a little bit lighter because we will feel enlivened in that way. So there's an expansive and new possibilities kind of quality that's going to be entering over the next several weeks with this eclipse season. However, these eclipses will also be finalizing this year, and they will really put a cap on all that we have learned. So this is a good opportunity to really use them to look back on all that we have journeyed through, on all that has changed, on all that we have endured, on all that we have grown through, and to allow yourself to come to a place of acceptance. If we're still feeling a lot of agitation, if we're still feeling a lot of irritation with everything or what has really shifted, it's normal to feel that way, but it's also really good to find a place of acceptance with it. Because the more that we can accept the way things look now, the more that we release that burden of resistance upon us. And if we are resisting something, then we go into that place of agitation. We go into that place of pain and suffering because we are not accepting the truth or the reality of it presently. So this eclipse season is a good opportunity to allow yourself to come to that place of acceptance. And often that is part of the grief process. And if we can look back on the expansion of this entire year, we can see that grief has been part of our journey. Whether that has been a physical loss for you, it is a collective experience that we've been moving through. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean a tangible loss of someone or something. It can just mean the fact that we have moved through many and many losses on many levels related to our normal ways of doing things. That we have changed so much and our reality has shifted so much. Our planet has changed so much. And there is a grief aspect to that whole experience. And so we may have moved through the waves of the grieving process, as there are stages to grief of possibly denial and moving into anger, and then finally coming around to a place of acceptance. And so this period will highlight that and really invite us to go into that place of integrating, of accepting how things are now. Because the shock, denial, and anger of moving through that grieving process has been the bulk of this entire year. And now in the finalization or the final parts of this year, it is really nudging us to accept it. Because from a place of acceptance, we can finally integrate the lessons and the wisdom that have emerged from that shifting, transformation, and grief process. And from the integration, from the acceptance of whatever has changed for you, whatever has changed in the world surrounding this, there we can build the foundation to create from that point onward. That once we have finally integrated something, even if we're still grappling with it, even if so much still looks really messy, strange, and uncertain, if we find that place of healing within to come to that integration point, then we can look upward. Then we can move from a place where we are more heart-centered and we're creating from that place, rather than being fear-based in our minds and resistant to all of it. So this is a really good theme and a very healing passage that we will be moving through with the eclipses, and kind of a balm that will coat everything from all that we have moved through, because this year has been one for the books. And so we can look at these eclipses as a gift to allow us to cap and reassess everything that we have already moved through. So as we move towards this, the Mars energies are still at play for us. And with this kind of forward momentum, as I was mentioning, it can also bring that suppressed emotion up to the surface. And as the weeks pan out and we get closer to December, those suppressed emotions may emerge even more. So anything that has been kind of shoved down for maybe the majority of the year or quite some time may now start to emerge. And you may have even felt it pretty potently with that super new moon in Scorpio last week, as it brought things up to the surface, some kind of raw, honest emotion. It was very much like a tsunami of emotion I found around that super new moon. So if you were moving through that and a lot was surfacing, either emotionally, mentally, or both, that is the quality of the Mars and the supermoon kind of acting as a pair to kick all of that up, to be seen, to be healed, to be integrated. It's almost like a giant wave that just kind of pummeled the ocean floor and pulled it up to rise to the surface of the ocean. So it's now kind of on the surface where we can see it, and it may not be pretty, may not be comfortable or fun, but it's needing to be seen for that integration purpose. So that's going to be the element also that's going to be at play as we move through this eclipse season. So with that, it's also kind of amping up a quality of action in our life. You may have found that your life is getting really busy right now. And I know that holiday season already does that normally, but it feels a little bit more of an added dose of that right now. So it's adding a lot of focus on our responsibilities. You may find that you've been just kind of inundated with work projects, or a lot of people reaching out to you with messages, with inquiries, or there's just a lot that you have to tend to in your own personal life that feels a bit like drudgery and kind of like you are dotting your I's, crossing your T's kind of energy. So that's not always a fun energy to kind of put the pedal to the metal and really get a lot done, but it's adding this element of all that we need to do, and it's just an influence that will be part of our experience for the next couple months. So with that, we can feel a bit tired because we have already been through so much. And so having a lot of our responsibilities highlighted right now, or a busyness kind of action quality, may make us feel pretty fatigued. So if you're finding that, or that maybe there's some cloudiness or lack of clarity in your life around the details of your path while you're tending to all of this busyness, it's really important to find pockets of self-care, of rest, of stepping away when you need to, and really tending to your own needs, because the holidays will add more of that to the mix and really amping up everything. So just to remind yourself to take care of you through these weeks ahead, and to not be afraid to say no if you can't do something or you need that break. It's really important as we continue to move through the rest of this year. So the eclipses are already bringing in the energy of 2021. And you may even feel that. The energies are very amped right now. It's almost like we went from 0 to 100 overnight. So the eclipses are bringing the solar activity, the increase in the amped quality of life. You may already notice it even in the delivery of this update. Everything is very, very amped right now. So just know that this increase in energy and the inclusion or the seeping in of 2021 is part of these next couple months. And this will be adding a lot of levity. Although we'll be moving through an integration period and healing, it's adding some hope. It's adding some lightness and really opening up the energy, expanding it, and allowing us to look towards the future and to see what's possible, to see our potentials, and to align ourselves with new creations. And it may be tricky to do that from a place of fatigue, from exhaustion. That's why it is so important to find ways to incorporate that self-care so that we can remain hopeful, so that we can find ways to inspire ourselves and to know that a new day is dawning, to know that all that we have been through already is behind us. And it's time to really look towards what is possible now. What can we create? What can we change? And how can we move forward from this point onward? So to offer you the channeled message for this week adds an element of that quality, of the symbology of what the numerology of these years mean. It was a reflection upon the numbers of 2020 and the numbers of 2021 that did come in. It was a pretty potent visual that I would like to share with you. 2020, the zeros representing a clearing of a slate, a 0 point, also symbolic of the shape of the planet in the zeros. The 2s representing pairs, community, the people facing the cleansing of the planet. 2021 is the people coming together after the planetary cleansing to erect and shape something new, represented as the one. The new beginning, the building of structure upon a foundation. So I leave you with that message for this week to offer some inspiration as we are completing this year over the next month and moving into a new one. I hope that you have a wonderful holiday this week. If you do need additional support, I'm offering my in-person and remote sessions. You can learn more about my services at entelechyvisions.com. I also have many specials available, and you can learn about them at my Instagram page, Entelechyvisions. I invite you to like and subscribe to this channel as it does help to support the channel. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and thank you for listening.